Good evening, this is Chase Bailey of Left Bank Films. Tonight we present episode 5 of our podcast called The Love of Film. Our podcast tonight is about our favorite actresses of the 1940s. Our podcasters tonight are Todd Hunter, Kate Jurdy, Freeman Fletcher, Brigitte Abreu, Dennis Collins Johnson, and myself, Chase Bailey. I hope you enjoy it. And my number 2 actress is Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine, Rebecca, Suspicion, Jane Eyre. I think, her work in Rebecca is alone just phenomenal. I love those eyes of hers, just the way that she was looking at Olivier all the time and just going, what can I do to make this better? All the time. And she just melded into that role.
Yeah, it was a great one.
She wanted to make him feel better, but she didn't know how. And of course, Olivier is going through the trials and tribulations of losing his wife Rebecca, and spoiler alert, he actually probably killed her. So
oh no.
No,
God.
What? I apologize.
I have to go.
I have to go. I haven't seen that movie yet. So anyway, it's Joan Fontaine.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to actresses.
Yay!
And who's your number 2?
I had a lot of trouble, and I still don't know if I believe my list. I'm gonna have a couple honorable mentions because I just can't.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is Rosalind Russell. I figured she would be a dark horse, and I don't think she got enough
is a dark
props.
horse.
I don't think she got enough props in the 40s, because she didn't do a whole lot of dramatic work. She was a very comedic actress. She got cast a lot as that. And she
didn't she do Kitty Foyle?
No, that's Ginger Rogers.
Oh, that's Ginger Rogers.
Yeah. Rosalind Russell is his girl Friday, and let me yeah, no, Auntie Mame, which was in the 50s. Let's see.
Kitty's favorite film is Auntie Mame.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Oh, I guess she did Morning Becomes Electra. I haven't seen that. I would love to see her in that as the role of Lavinia. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But yeah, no, Design for Scandal, What a Woman, all these films.
So I was
His
mixing
Girl
her
Friday.
up
With Ginger Rogers.
yeah.
Yeah. Ginger Rogers, I would considered her. She's an honorable mention actually for me. I don't think she got enough props either, because she could do so much more than dance beautifully, which she did.
I
wow.
don't even have Rosalind Russell in my list.
Yeah, I
Not
kind
even
of
in my
wanted.
list.
That's what I did. I mean, I love so many people. Ingrid Bergman is an honorable mention, etc. But I wanted to pick Rosalind Russell because she never won an Oscar, I don't think, and there's just something about her. She's so different from everyone else. Maybe she's comparable to Bette Davis, and Bette Davis is another honorable mention. But she's like the comedic version of Bette Davis, or I don't know, there's just like a strength, and she kind of gives readings that are like not your typical line readings.
What was your favorite film of hers?
His Girl Friday, for sure. I mean, it's number 1. Yeah. She's just so she's authentic. There's like an authenticity to her. She's a perfect match for Cary Grant in that movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that film.
Yeah. And it's because she brings her own personality to it. She really does. And I think a lot of actresses didn't do that, because there was this kind of acceptable, attractive thing, demure, thing that you had to do. But she doesn't do that. she's just like, she comes out guns blazing, and I fucking love her. Anyway, so she's number 2.
Fantastic. Fucking love her. You're not allowed to say that on this fucking channel. You know
Oh
that.
no, I didn't fucking know that.
Well, you better fucking learn. Okay, just kidding. Okay.
My number 2 actress of the 1940s is Rita Hayworth.
Ooh.
And Rita Hayworth, I mean, it was similar to Citizen Kane, which makes sense because of her relationship with Orson Welles, her later relationship. When I first saw Rita Hayworth in Gilda, I was like, who is this force of nature? Like, Gilda is still one of my favorite 1940s films, obviously primarily because of Rita Hayworth. I mean, Glenn Ford is also excellent in it, but she on multiple levels is a force of nature. Huge star at the time, incredible mix of ancestries: Irish, English, Northern Irish, actually, Scottish, Welsh, Cornish, Bohemian, Czech, Dutch, and German, and she wears it all. She was actually the producer's first choice for Casablanca.
Really?
But they couldn't get her, though, so they settled for Ingrid Bergman.
Great settle.
Which I think worked out for everybody. And, you know, she is one of the few actresses to have actually danced with both Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly in their movies. She is also was the first face for Alzheimer's in 1981. She brought a public face to Alzheimer's. So, I mean, you know, multi-talented, multi-ethnic, and really just an astounding woman and performer from the 1940s. I mean, there's a reason why Orson Welles just saw a lot in her, you know, and wanted to work with her, and ultimately he had a long-lasting relationship with her. So she is my she is my number 2 for the 1940s, the one that got away for Casablanca.
That's such a different movie.
That would be a different movie, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily a worse. Well,
I can't picture Rita internalizing like Ingrid did the turmoil she was going through, but maybe she could have. She did really well in Gilda. She
has what I like you and I talked about on the other podcast, Chase and Kate, about Light Sleeper. She's got the Susan Sarandon thing where I can't tell if I should ever, like, she could be the good guy or the bad guy. Sometimes in the same movie. Like, I never could tell where she was coming from, and that would pull me in. She has that. Susan Sarandon had it in her career as well. So,
well, think about Light Sleeper. You didn't know whether she was a good person or a bad person. Yeah. Okay, but we don't want to go down that street.
Number 2 is Lauren Bacall.
Oh, love her.
Yep, that's it. I mean, we can move on. We all know Bacall. Iconic, strong and character driven, but also vulnerable. I mean, you see her vulnerability in Key Largo, right?
Oh,
I mean, I saw it.
Well, she was what, 12 at the time? 13?
Yeah, she was Chase.
I mean, what was she, 17?
19 for the first
19? Yeah. I was going to go, she was so young, but she was so, her, like Todd says, her physical presence on screen just filled it up. Freeman, you're number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Katharine Hepburn. She's like in my mind, she's the female Cary Grant, but I think she's a better actress or a better actor. And just one of those effortless, the thing that her and Cary Grant both have, and we've talked about both of them ad nauseum, so I'll keep this brief, but just effortless charisma and magnetic to watch. So yeah, Philadelphia Story, and then a lot of her stuff in the 30s, Bringing Up Baby, Holiday. Just yeah. Catherine Hepburn, my
Hepburn,
number
did
two.
she only did about 100 films, so I don't know why you're picking her. Okay, so Dennis, your number 2 choice.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'll go through my
Your Rolodex.
Judy Garland, but they were all musicals, so it's a little. I mean, if you're picking musicals, it'd definitely be her. Maureen O'Hara had a couple of really cool films. How Green Is My Valley, This Land Is Mine. But and Katharine Hepburn, some great films. But my number 2 would have to be Olivia de Havilland. Snake Pit, The Heiress. The Heiress is a tour de force, and The Government Girl, which has a, sort of a B picture, but when I saw a little bit of it, she was just magnificent in it. It's like, wow. So Olivia just only lived to be 104. Short life.
She did?
Yeah. She just died a year or 2 ago.
Wow.
Wasn't she Joan Fontaine's sister?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They didn't like
And they hated each other.
They didn't make up at all, ever.
Ever?
No. They were, she said something about she always wanted to be first. She'd probably die first. And she did.
Yeah, I have a brother. Okay, so my number 1 best actress is Ingrid Bergman. Simply for her role in Casablanca, Gaslight, Notorious, Suspicion, etc. But mainly for Casablanca. I loved the acting of Ingrid Bergman. And then even though she was probably cast over time to be a certain sort of person, a certain sort of woman, in a woman's role for a specific style, I still loved the job she did in Casablanca. So Ingrid Bergman is my number 1 choice for the best
She
actor.
also wasn't in Suspicion. That was Joan Fontaine.
No, I think, Spellbound. I'm sorry. Wasn't
Yeah.
Suspicion. It was Spellbound. I can't read my own notes. It started with an S and it sounded good. Suspiciously good. Okay, your number 1.
My number 1, and I might be with Dennis here. We might have the same one. Myrna Loy. I'm just guessing that that's his number 1.
Well, that'll probably be Freeman Fletcher.
Oh, cool. That's true. That's true. He's a fan of the Thin Man movies.
Oh, yes.
But not just in that, but she's in Best Years of Our Lives. And she's,
God, what a great film.
I know. And she doesn't get again, she's another one that I don't think she ever got an Oscar. She maybe got an honorary one for like her life work.
Hold on a second. I
don't
got
think
the
she
list
ever got
here
one.
because I did dissections of all these actresses,
Yeah.
actors, etc.
Yeah.
But even who won Oscars later on, whatever.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, I don't have Rosalind Russell. I just don't. Myrna Loy is one of my favorites because I love the Thin Man episode.
Yeah. She's great in those. She's great. And she's another example of an actor who can do.
And I don't have Myrna Loy in my list. Isn't that horrible?
Well, it's okay because she's my number 1. She's my number 1 lady.
Well, I can understand why. I mean, Best Years of Our Life.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't see that film.
I know, which is weird to me because it really encapsulates
Such a
that time.
dramatic family. Oh, not family, but
Yeah. No. Yeah.
yeah,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. She's beautiful. I think there's something she has what Spencer Tracy has, which is that specificity of thought, and and a genuine spirit that doesn't, she doesn't, you know, muddle it at all with mannerisms. She's just, I don't know, she just does service to the character in no in
She-
whatever she does. And she's
she-
often a supporting, you know, actress. I don't know that she was ever really the lead in anything.
In a way, she was the lead in that film.
Yeah,
If you
I-
think about it,
I mean-
that film, I mean, she was kind of the cohesive center, maybe the matriarch, you could say,
yes,
of the
for sure.
center of what was going on.
Yeah, and that seems to be her type, was matriarch, because she was kind of that in The Thin Man as well. But yeah, she's just, I don't think she gets enough props, and I don't think enough people know who she is. So that's another reason why she's
Well,
my
she
number one.
downplays everything. She's kind of calm.
Yes, she is.
She's controlled.
She's another one you could pluck her out of the 40s and put her in a film with like Kate Blanchett or something, and they would, you know, it
Oh,
would
yeah.
be like, you wouldn't be like, oh, you're from a different era of acting. You know what I mean? You wouldn't say that to her.
Yeah,
'cause
you
she's
can't you
just-
can't say that with Myrna Loy.
She has a truth about her
Yeah.
that I really respect and admire. Yeah.
Todd, your number one choice.
My number one choice, I'm right there with you, Chase. Ingrid Bergman. For all of the reasons that you mentioned. My tongue was firmly in cheek earlier when I said that they settled for Ingrid on Casablanca. And I agree with you in terms of, I don't think Hayworth would have internalized the role as much as Bergman. They were two different types of performers. So I do think that they went with the right choice. I really first discovered Ingrid Bergman on Notorious. And again, that film class that I was telling you about. And at the time, this was in the 90s, I knew more about her daughter, Isabella Rossellini, from the work with David Lynch and that sort of thing. And I knew that Ingrid Bergman was her mother. And boy, when Bergman comes out on screen in Notorious, again, it was one of those moments where I was just completely blown away. I mean, I think Isabella Rossellini is a beautiful, powerful performer, but her mother was just such a presence. A little bit of trivia that I learned about her, and apparently in 1933 she enrolled at the Royal Dramatic Theatre School in Stockholm, but later changed to films instead. She was quite a negotiator for her salaries, very tough. And going back to Jimmy Stewart, she received a fan letter from James Stewart on his way to combat duty for World War II in 1943. So I mean, we talk a lot, we were talking earlier about true originals with the actors like Humphrey Bogart, Jack Nicholson. I think Ingrid Bergman is another just absolute presence, and it is actually comparable to Jimmy Stewart in that I agree with you, Chase. She had an ability to go inward, and she had a lot of subtlety in her ways of expressing it as her character. But she was Ingrid Bergman. There was no one else like her. There still is no one else like Ingrid Bergman, not even Isabella Rossellini. So, and again, in an incredible run in the 1940s, working with Hitchcock and of course Michael Curtiz. I mean, you can't. There are lots that you can compare in terms of the 1940s, in terms of a run like that, but no matter actor or actress or anybody, Ingrid Bergman's run is just unparalleled in terms of the quality that she put out and the performances that she gave. So number one, Ingrid for me.
Fantastic. Kate, are you there?
So number one is Rosalind Russell.
Ah,
Again, it's hard to pick, but I think she kind of went against the Bridget and I have, it seems, similar viewpoints as actors and similar picks. Yeah, I think she just kind of was her own woman and went against and I'm sure you guys can fill in. I think we've talked about what she did in her private life too, but she's a pretty remarkable character. And I just like that the strength and kind of the I don't know how to phrase it, but she wasn't kind of common for that time. She was her own woman, and not to shortchange anyone that worked during that time. I know it was, I mean, there wasn't many. I mean, there were a lot of roles for women, but it was just a different time. And I think she just brought a whole new face, whole new style. And she was just kind of unapologetically herself. So yeah, Rosalind Russell, number one, 40s film.
Fantastic.
She was
Uh,
my runner up for number two, but I decided not to because I've only seen, I think, one movie with her from the 40s. But she dominates His Girl Friday, and that's a movie with a pretty indomitable cast, and she's leaps and bounds over everybody else in that movie. She's so good in that. Yeah, powerhouse.
He is really good. Yeah.
It's a great film.
Yeah.
Okay, Freeman.
My number one, once again, cribbing a lot from the works of Powell and Pressburg, is Deborah Carr, who has been in so many things and a lot of great stuff that she's best known for. I don't know her from, but she's incredible in The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, where she plays multiple roles. But the one that I wanted to talk about was 1947's Black Narcissus, which is a Powell and Pressburger movie about nuns in the Himalayas who like trek out to this convent, and it's just nuns going crazy for like 2 hours, and it's great. Incredible use of color in that movie.
What's the name of the film again?
Black Narcissus.
Okay.
And
I haven't seen it.
She's the head nun, so she's the lead in the movie, and her control and sort of like splitting at the seams, trying to keep all these different things together in this convent in the face of her faith and sanity, is a really incredible performance, and she's probably my favorite actress. In the 60s, no doubt I'll bring up a horror movie called The Innocents, which is an adaptation of Turning of the Screw, that she was her favorite performance of her own, and is also incredible. But yeah, Deborah Carr, numero uno.
I'm just looking up the film, which I haven't ever seen. Has anybody else seen Black Narcissus?
I've wanted to. I know it's a very well known, if not a cult following film, and I've definitely wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's got Gene Simmons in it. It's got some known actors in it. Huh.
It's a good one.
Oh, they made a TV miniseries out of it in 2020.
Yeah, I haven't watched that, but
I've got to go back and see that. I mean, that's a 1940s film that I really want to see, just like Red Shoes. Thank you, Freeman, for that too. Okay, Dennis, you're number one.
Well, short and sweet. Ingrid Bergman. It's tough in the 40s. It's tough in the 40s when you look at her films to go, oh yeah, somebody else, because they're really remarkable, and she does a great job, whatever is required of her. I liked her in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Spencer Tracy tries to run away with it, but she's really good in that smaller part, of course, playing the prostitute. And even Joan of Arc, which I haven't seen in a while, but she wasn't 15, she was 30, but still, she pulled it off, played an interesting character. So yeah, I fell in love with Ingrid Bergman when I was in my 20s, and I probably still am. There you have it.
Just had a question. She was it the film title Joan of Arc that she played Joan of Arc in? Because I can't. And again, it's not. It's. I mean, I saw Dryers did you see The Passion of Joan of Arc?
Yeah.
Oof. Brutal, huh? But how incredible is she, the actress in that? What was her name? So yeah, I didn't realize that that Bergman did. Maria Falconetti was her name. Brutal backstory, but the film was unbelievable. I mean, and her performance was incredible.
That was her only film, Falconetti, and that was a great one. If you can if you can take that film, it's brutal, like you said.
It is
I-
brutal.
It
is
was
dark.
a film we had to. It was for film studies, so we were watching it on the big screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she hung up her acting cap after that.
Back to stage. Yeah.
Okay,
I just
kids.
wanted to throw out one
Okay.
real quick, just because it was her last. She didn't. I think she only lived to 42. She died in a tragic plane crash, I believe. But Carol Lombard,
Ooh,
tore
yes.
up the 30s, and her last movie I think was To Be or Not to Be, which is. I know Chase wasn't a big fan, but she's
No, thanks for mentioning her. I've heard-
fantastic.
yeah, I've heard wonderful things about her, and I don't know really her work.
She was a good actress. I can't.
My Man
recall.
Godfrey.
My Man Godfrey. That's one.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
her. I think her biggest one.
And
Yeah.
what was the one that was it To Have and Have Not that she was in?
No,
To Be or Not
To Be or Not
Be
to
or
Be.
Not.
It's that comedy kind of take off with it's not Mel Brooks. It's
Mel Brooks remade it.
yeah,
Jack
Mel
Benny.
Brooks remade it, but it's
Yeah, it's Jack Benny.
Jack Benny.
Jack Benny. Yeah, it
Ah.
was Jack Benny, and I just can't stand Jack Benny.
Yeah,
That was
it's
my
really-
fault.
Who
You
cares?
don't
My
like
fault.
Jack Benny?
I love Jack
Not in
Benny
that.
for stand-up comedy with Rochester and that kind of stuff, and with his violin or fiddle, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah, his TV show was great.
that film was a little over the top. It was just
I think it's great. And also, actually, I also want to. Sorry, I lied. Just also really quickly throw out Gene Tierney.
Oh,
Gene
for
yes.
Tierney.
Laura.
Yeah,
You're
please.
mentioning great people, and my mom always talks about. Again, this is not my Gene Tierney.
I had
My
a
honorable
Todd
mentions were
moment
Hepburn and
with.
Stanwyck. We
first-
haven't mentioned about Barbara Stanwyck either.
Yeah, Barbara Stanwyck's great, but
Yeah.
the first time Gene Tierney shows up in Laura is one of those kind of breathtaking
Laura
that Todd was
is
talking about,
the
kind of like.
You guys, Laura and Rebecca, you've talked so highly of, and I still have not seen either one of them.
Oh,
That's a good double feature.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It would be
Yeah.
good. Let's see. I would go with Rebecca second.
Okay.
I would. In the double feature. Freeman, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that. Well, I don't know. Rebecca's slower, and I usually try to put the slower one first. I like to think of it as like there's the 8 o'clock or the 10 o'clock movie, and then there's the midnight movie. I think Laura's the better midnight movie.
Rebecca is very deliberately paced. I would agree.
Yeah.
It's you gotta kind of settle in. It's like pouring a glass of fine wine and sipping it for like 2.5 hours.
And the glass is covered in cobwebs.
What do-
Yeah.
Freeman, there's no cobwebs on this one.
No,
You're doing it wrong.
he drinks them too fast for them to get cobwebs on them.
That is true. I have a little straw here that I just.
All right, guys.
Okay, it was again. It was wonderful to see you guys again tonight. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed our podcast, episode 5, "The Love of Film," dealing with actresses of the 1940s. For future episodes of our podcast, please visit us at www.leftbankfilms.com/The Love of Film. Our future podcast will deal with Paul Schrader's film Light Sleeper, the films of Michelangelo Antonioni, films of Stanley Kubrick, and films from the decade of the 1930s. Please stay tuned for further announcements, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.